What's up, Michigan State fans? It's Jacob Katsunik here back for another episode of the Michigan State Spartans Insider Podcast. It is now game day for Michigan State football, Saturday, November 15th, 2025. Spartans are getting ready to host Penn State. Uh, it's kind of interesting that things have gotten to this point. Michigan State's 3-6, 0-6 in Big Ten play. Penn State's 3-6 and 0-6 in Big Ten play. If you would have told me MSU was 3-6 entering this game, I would have been mildly surprised. I would have been surprised, but you're like, okay, seasons haven't gone great the last couple of years. But if you told me Penn State was going to be 3-6 entering this game, I would have called you crazy. Because Penn State is a talented team still, I think, even right now. They've got a lot of good players that were contributors on a team that made the college football playoff semifinal last year and was this close to making the national championship game. If you remember correctly, Notre Dame won that game on a field goal at the very end. Drew Aller threw a costly pick. Right near field goal territory, Notre Dame hit the field goal. So, but they're 3-6 now. James Franklin got fired after they started 3-0, just like Michigan State. Big Ten schedule started, and it's just been L, and so on. So, as of right now, though, the Penn State fired James Franklin after it went to 3-3. Jonathan Smith's still around at Michigan State, as everyone is well aware of at this point. But Penn State has still had if we're comparing 0-6 records, we're going to get into this game now. I'm going to predict the final score at the end. I should say that first, given that's what the purpose of this podcast is. I'll predict the final score at the end. But when you compare the 0-6 records, Penn State's is better. Better, quote unquote, or less bad, I should say. Double overtime loss to Oregon. Oregon's probably going to play in the college football playoff. That was in the whiteout back then. I'd still think if you're Oregon, that should be considered a resume win, because I think it was something about that game just kind of shattered Penn State. Like if Penn State wins that game against Oregon, I still think they're rolling. I don't think they lose focus against UCLA. Maybe they lose to Ohio State, but I don't know if they lose. Maybe they lose to Ohio State, maybe they lose to Indiana, but they're not 3-6. Well, obviously they'd be 4-0 after that one, but you get what I mean. I still think Penn State would be in the college football playoff race, perhaps, because even if they might not have enough wins to maybe be in the playoff picture, but they'd be looking at probably 10-4, looking at the rest of their schedule ahead of them if that Oregon game goes their way, because that would have gotten a little bit of the cam off of James Franklin's back about top 10 wins, stuff like that. It was like they kind of tried to recreate like what Michigan did between 2022 and 2023. A lot of their guys came back, chose to go back to Penn State instead of going to the NFL. And once they kind of realized, maybe we won't win the national championship, kind of fell flat. But you lose to Oregon, double overtime, pretty solid result in a vacuum for a 3-6 team. But UCLA on the road. Again, that was when UCLA had their hot streak, but still that was like the upset of the season in college football when it happened. The Western at home is still kind of the one that really weirds me out a bit, because that's in Happy Valley. Iowa, I believe, is 21st in the country. They lost by 1 point in Kinnick Stadium. Road game at Ohio State. No one's ever really going to do well there. Lost by 24, but that was a close-ish game at halftime. I think it was 7 points at halftime, which is certainly closer than what most teams would do there. And then they were, again, this close to beating Indiana last week. It was a 3rd and goal from the 7. Omar Cooper makes one of the best catches I've ever seen. Somehow gets his, trying to remember, he got his left foot down. It seemed like his right leg was going to be out of bounds. He kept it off the ground, and he got the left foot down just in bounds. That was for the win there in Beaver Stadium. But it's, but 5 one-possession losses for Penn State in 6 Big Ten games. The one team that beat them by multiple possessions is number 1 Ohio State in Columbus. Then you look at Michigan State and how they've done in 0-6. So you go through it, 14-point loss to USC, 11-point loss to Nebraska, 25-point loss to UCLA, 25-point loss at Indiana, 11-point loss to Michigan, and a 3-point loss to Minnesota in overtime. Yeah, it's been a weaker schedule by far for Michigan State, and it's been the same results, and the games aren't as close. So you look at that, and certainly I think you have to give Penn State the edge in this game. One, because they're more talented. They have better players, I think. Just overall, even though they're on their backup quarterback, technically Michigan State's going to be as well, but Penn State's doing it out of necessity because Drew Aller got hurt, and Michigan State is trying to figure out which starter they want to go with. If it's not, it's probably going to be Milivojevic. If it's Childs, I'm sure some people are going to be upset about that because Milivojevic was great in that game against Minnesota. So, but still, the offenses, neither of them have been great. Penn State's defense has been good-ish, I guess, for a 3-6 team. I mean, we're comparing 3-6 teams. Not much is going great for both of these squads. The fact this game is on the CBS window, it's kind of funny. I think the only reason because as they're trying to squeeze, because in the Big Ten you are required to play at least one conference game. I think the rule is you need to play 2 games at least on BTN, and one of them has to be a conference game. I think as you're getting down to the end of the season now, the Big Ten's starting to realize, we haven't had these teams, and you're putting games that normally wouldn't be on BTN. I think Iowa USC is on there. I think they're both ranked. Yeah, and you're putting 3-6 Michigan State, 3-6 Penn State on the CBS window, which I'm sure CBS is very pleased about, certainly, instead of getting those SEC games that are consistently outperforming the Big Ten viewership-wise. Alas, tangent over. 2, 3-6 teams, not much is going great. Michigan State's defense has been better lately, but still, but they're still, like you're looking at, they're allowing 31.4 points per game on the season. It's 114th. They're 69th in total defense, but again, I think that's part of the reason the scoring defense is bad is because offense isn't doing well, and the special teams hasn't been great at times either. You know, the field position game hasn't been ever since that non-conference. Like Eckley was just a punt god at the beginning of the year. He's still been great, but you haven't seen him he was pinning teams at the 1-yard line over and over again in that game against Boston College against Western at the beginning of the season. But it's just 2, 3-6 teams. You watch Penn State. I still think they're definitely better than Michigan State. And for that reason, I'm going to, obviously, as I've kind of been teasing the entire time, I'm going to take Penn State to win this game. Score-wise, though, it's Penn State, I think Penn State's going to win. Michigan State's been tough to get the score with because they love to do the backdoor cover at the very end where they're down by multiple scores, and Milivojevic has come in. Let's see. Well, they've had a backdoor cover against USC. They did it against Nebraska. They did it against Indiana, and they did it against Michigan. So that's 4 times that this has happened. So why not predict it again? I think you're going to be looking at something like, let's call it Penn State. Let's call it Penn State 28, Michigan State 24 because of a late touchdown. 28-24, Penn State wins. That's what I think I'm going to go with for my final score. I'm still kind of irritated because I was 1 point off on the Michigan one. I said 31-21. It's 31-20, and it was because Michigan State went for 2 and didn't get it. Well, it wouldn't matter if they got it, but they just kicked the extra point. I would have had it dead on. Still kind of bugs me a little bit. But still, that's Jonathan Smith isn't listening to me talk, I'm pretty sure, so whatever. But still, though, I think Michigan State's going to fall to 3-7. That would clinch the 4th straight losing season for Michigan State, 4th straight season without a bowl game. Long way for this program to go. Again, a lot of chatter about will Jonathan Smith continue? We'll see. It seemed like it was a certainty a couple weeks ago, probably after starting out that UCLA game. They haven't won a game since, but somehow it feels like his odds of surviving feel better now. I don't know, because again, it's just you're seeing some teams like Wisconsin choose to not go into the coaching carousel. Again, $33 million, that's a lot of money. So yeah, I don't envy Jay Batt's position right now. I'll say at least that much. But still, though, for now, I'm Jacob Katsanika. Thank you for listening once again, though, whether you are listening to this on Apple Music, Spotify, or watching on YouTube. Thank you for taking your time out of your day to listen to me. Still, though, check back here for more podcasts and visit SpartanNation.com and or Michigan State Spartans on SI for all of our written content. There will be plenty of it from this game. And basketball is going on. Basketball's doing real well. Got the commitment of 5-star Ethan Taylor the other day. They're number 17 in the country. Hockey's number 1. I'm recording this before they play that game against their first game against Notre Dame, though. We'll see what happens there. But until then, I'm Jacob Katzanika. I'll see you guys around.